I wouldn't say down in the dumps, but like I don't know. I just ain't been feeling it lately, bro. Let me keep it a bean. Yeah, yeah, y'all, bro. Like I just said, fuck it. I'ma get up, eat something. I got like a couple of video ideas for y'all, so they will be put up. Videos will be put out. Side, hear me on that side, boom, boom, boom. We good. Alright. Carl Jung on Intuition. How to Tap into Your Inner Wisdom by Whispering Ideas. Now, I've been wanting to talk about. Hold on, y'all. That shit is not okay. Pull up. What the fuck? How do I turn that shit off? When it pop back up, I'm gonna turn that little off. Anyway, lately, you know what I'm saying, I've been, you know what, I'm gonna save all the talk for the video, man. Let's get into the video, bro.
Intuition is seeing with the soul. It's the quiet voice that guides you when reason falls short. Carl Jung believed that tapping into this inner wisdom can unlock answers you didn't know you had, answers that can shape your life in ways you never imagined. Something we all feel, but few of us fully understand. Intuition is often seen as a mysterious force, a gut feeling we can't quite explain. But Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, saw intuition as much more than that. To Jung, intuition was a powerful mental function that connects us to our inner world and the hidden patterns around us. It goes beyond logic or observation. It's almost instinctual. In this video, we'll explore Carl Jung's view on intuition, including the 4 different types he identified. We'll talk about practical ways to develop each of these forms of intuition, the life-changing benefits they can bring, and even how to tell if you're an intuitive type. So let's get started.
Now, the way I think about intuition is, the way I see it is, it's the gut feeling. It's that feeling within your gut that tells you when something is not aligned with you or when something is aligned with you. 9 times out of 10, bro, it's going to lead you down. It's going to lead you to where you should be instead of where you shouldn't be. Now, some people be like, man, my gut feeling. Actually, I don't hear a lot of that. But in some cases, you'll hear people say, "Oh, my intuition didn't. It didn't. What is it called? My intuition was wrong, or my gut feeling was wrong." In some cases, you do hear that. But 9 times out of 10, I'll say 8 to 9 times out of 10, your intuition is always gonna lead you to what serves you, to what is aligned with you. So even if it's taking you away from something, even if you want to do this thing and it's saying, "Nah, we finna take you away from it." 9 times out of 10, whatever you're trying to indulge in it does not serve you. It does not serve your best interest. So you shouldn't even be doing it in the first place. You see what I'm saying? Hold up. I gotta check something. Online. Come here real quick. And nah, we finna take you away from it. 9 times out of 10, whatever you're trying to indulge in it does not serve you. It does not serve your best interest. So you shouldn't even be doing it in the first place. You see what I'm saying? Hold up. I gotta check something. Quick. Okay. Well, I got the clips. It is what it is.
The 4 types of intuition. 1. Sensing intuition. The first type of intuition we'll discuss is sensing intuition. Sensing intuition is a kind of physical connection to the world around us. It's not just about what we see or hear. It's about picking up on subtle clues in our environment that others might overlook. You might think of it as being in tune with the atmosphere around you. For example, let's say you walk into a room and immediately feel that something's off. Maybe the air feels heavy, or you sense a kind of tension without anyone saying a word. That's sensing intuition at work. You're picking up on subtle, almost invisible cues that signal to you that something isn't right. This form of intuition is often found in people who are deeply connected to their physical environment, like artists, performers, or even people in high-pressure fields who need to read a room quickly. Take actors, for instance. Great actors have to sense the energy of the scene and their fellow actors, reacting in ways that feel genuine and powerful, even if no words are spoken. This type of intuition lets them connect with the emotional undercurrents of a scene, creating something that feels raw and real for the audience. 2. Thinking intuition. Next up, we have thinking intuition. This type of intuition is fascinating because it blends intuition with logic and reason. While it might sound contradictory, thinking intuition helps us jump to conclusions that make sense in hindsight, even if we didn't logically work through every step to get there. It's the type of intuition that helps us solve problems.
Now, this is the thing about intuition, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Intuition sometimes, if you're not, intuition bypasses logic. So a lot of times for people who do, you know, go by their intuition, they go by their gut feeling. A lot of the time, it'll bypass logic because again, it's just a feeling. It's something that you're feeling within. Again, it just bypass logic. So usually, what I do is so I know I'm making a logical answer or uh, a logical choice. What I will do is I will listen to that intuition. I'll listen to it, right? I listen to it, but I won't act on it. I won't like go ahead and let's say it's somebody that I should be getting away from, right? Or yeah, let's say it's somebody I should be getting away from. Intuitively, I feel like, all right, maybe I shouldn't be around this person. Maybe something about this person ain't right. Something about this person, I'm just not feeling this person. But I will stick around. I will stick around so I can observe, so then I can make logical decisions, so I can observe this person. Once I'm able to observe the person and see, see what's really going on, like why am I feeling this? What is spirit trying to tell me? Once I see what's going on, and it could be the slightest thing, then I'm out. Now, some people say that it's avoidant. You gotta avoid attachment. I say I don't give a fuck. A lot of the time, bro, your intuition will get you out of situations that were, you know what I'm saying? It will get you out of shit that didn't even need to be in your life in the first place. It will get you out of, how do I say this? A lot of the time, your intuition will get you out of life changing situations and life changing decisions. So even if nothing happened, even if your intuition told you to dip, told you to get away, told you to go, and nothing was going to happen, at the end of the day, it was still a possibility that some bullshit was going to happen. So why not take that precaution? Why not take that precaution and just dip? You see what I'm saying? It's like, again, if you going into a party, imagine you go into a party and some don't feel right about that party. Some feel off about that party. Would you not leave? You see what I'm saying? Would you not leave? I know if I was in a party and some just don't feel right about the party, some just, my intuition is going off, my gut feeling going off, nigga, I'm leaving. Even if something don't happen, even if it was a lit night, everybody's going crazy. It was just a lit night that night. I'm still not gonna care. I'm still leaving. I don't care because it's a chance. It's a slim chance that you being there ended up popping off something. So you might as well just remove yourself out the equation. Go ahead and do something else. It don't even matter. It's plenty more out there. It's plenty more parties. There's plenty more people. It don't even matter. Your intuition will never leave you astray, bro. Your intuition will always make sure that you are put in position to go through situations, have people around you that serve you instead of deterring you or hurting you in the long run. You get what I'm trying to say?
Even when we don't have all the facts. Think of it like this. Have you ever had an aha moment when you suddenly knew the answer to a complex problem without knowing exactly how you got there? For example, Sherlock Holmes, the fictional detective, often knows things that seem impossible to guess. He connects the dots instinctively, making leaps that others can't see. In real life, scientists and inventors often rely on this type of intuition. Albert Einstein, for instance, talked about how he trusted his intuition to guide him toward ideas that logic alone couldn't explain. Thinking intuition lets us look at a few scattered details and suddenly understand the bigger picture, which is crucial in fields that require innovation and creativity.
See, now there's something new that I didn't know. I was thinking that intuition was like situational based or person based. Like it's like a compass. It's a guiding system. So it'll tell you if something is off or something is good, something is bad. You see what I'm saying? But the way he is explaining it right now is like your intuition is basically any idea that pops into your mind, any sort of nudge that pops up in your mind. Any nudge or idea that pops up in your mind is considered intuition. Is intuition based, and the more you act upon that nudge, the more you go for that nudge, the stronger your intuition gets, I guess. But this is just one of the types he said. He said one was thinking intuition, one was sensing intuition.
Imagine a software developer spotting a bug in their code. They might not have all the details laid out, but their intuition lets them see the potential cause, guiding them to a solution before it's even clear to others. 3. Feeling intuition.
This the one I'm
Feeling intuition is all about understanding emotions, both our own and those of others. People with strong feeling intuition often have an almost empathic ability to sense what others are going through, even if no one's explicitly saying it. It's like being able to tune into the emotional frequency of those around you. Think about a therapist who can sense what their client is feeling, even if the client isn't expressing it outright. Carl Jung himself, in his work with patients, used feeling intuition to connect with them on a deeper level. He didn't just listen to what they said, he tuned into their body language, tone, and even what they were avoiding talking about. This gave him insight into their inner struggles and allowed him to guide them in profound ways.
and I feel like this is such an underrated like I was gonna call it a power. This is like so underrated, bro. Cause do you know how like good it is to be like to have intuition as far as like when it comes down to a person? I say this because, bro, it's important to read people, bro. It's super important to read people. Like that whole saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover." It's true to an extent. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say you shouldn't just have an assumption of a person. Like we all judge. We all gonna judge somebody based off how they look, based off how they their first impressions. When somebody shows themselves off their first impression, you're gonna end up judging that person. You're gonna end up getting like a first base type. You know what I'm trying to say? You're gonna get like some type of first base view about that person. You dig what I'm saying? But after you get past that, after you let go of the judgment and you actually try to get to know that person, man, it is important to learn how to read people. Learn how to read people's like how do I say this? Just learn how to read people, bro. It is very important to learn how to read people and get to know their patterns. Get to know who they are. Really get to know a person and see how you can operate around them or if you even want to operate around them. But it's very important to learn how to read people, bro, because especially nowadays, shit wild nowadays, bro. I'll tell you that.
People with strong feeling intuition often find themselves understanding others at a level that can be hard to explain. It's almost like having a sixth sense for emotions, picking up on what lies beneath the surface. In relationships, this intuition can create a deeper, more compassionate bond with others, as they're often able to empathize and respond in ways that resonate emotionally. 4. Judging intuition. Finally, we have judging intuition. Judging intuition is all about seeing the big picture. People with strong judging intuition can anticipate future trends, recognize patterns, and understand the broader meaning behind events. It's a kind of intuition that helps leaders, visionaries, and strategists. For example, Steve Jobs, the co founder of Apple, is often cited as having a strong judging intuition. He had this unique ability to see where technology was going and understand what people would want before they even knew it themselves. Judging intuition is like having an inner compass that helps you see beyond the immediate moment and plan for the future. In a way, this type of intuition is like seeing the map of life, understanding not only where you are, but where you're going. It's an invaluable skill for anyone in leadership or creative fields.
I was gonna say I didn't read up on it, but I've heard that this is really important for like people in business or artists or people who create things. It's very important for you to have this sense of like he calls it judging intuition, but I'll just call it intuition. It's very important for you to have this type of intuition because you always want to be one step ahead of people, right? What I learned is people usually will, if you're considering yourself an icon and people follow you, you're a person that makes something and you end up making something that people don't even realize that they want, if that makes sense. So it almost makes you seem like you're ahead of your time. It almost makes you seem like you're in the future. You're ahead of what's going on right now. You dig what I'm trying to say? When you're a person that can see patterns within history or history and can see these, you know what I'm saying, see these continuous trends that happen, and then you can end up, spending spinning it into your own way or your own viewpoint or your own, creating it in your own way. You can end up either creating a new trend, creating a new wave, or you can end up giving something to people that they didn't even know that they wanted. And that I heard that's like a key thing that business owners really try to prioritize. Yeah, they try to they for the most part prioritize, go along with the trends, what I'm saying, stay hip with the trends, stay hip with the people, but also give people things that they did not know that they wanted. Not at the time, but 9 times out of 10, when you give a product or when you give people something, it's it's like it trumps it's like how do I explain this? It makes a person, I say it's way better than you following along with trends. Cause then whatever you created that people did not know that they wanted, it now is associated with your name. So now people are going to you for whatever, you know what I'm trying to say? That that's the main uh thing I'm trying to say about the this type of intuition.
As it helps them anticipate changes and guide others effectively. These four types of intuition sensing, thinking, feeling, and judging each have their own.
And mind you, this all has to do with the mental. Now, remember what we was talking about with the pillars. You have the masculine brain, the feminine brain. You have matter and mind. You have spiritual. You have the animalistic side, and you have the spiritual side. So imagine on the right side of the pillar, the feminine aspect, the spiritual aspect, the mind aspect. This is what you have to tap into to gain your intuition. To gain intuition, you have to start balancing yourself out to not be more feminine. It's not saying you have to be feminine, but it's saying you have to tap into your spiritual side. Tap into, getting your mental right, making sure that you are mentally okay, that you can mentally do things. Tap into, again, strengthen your intuition, strengthen your discernment, and these things will strengthen that right pillar, that feminine aspect, that spiritual aspect. That's why do you think, like, with women, you see they got the women's intuition is so on point. The reason why is because that right aspect, when women are in their feminine aspect, they intuition be on point because they are feminine beings. You see what I'm saying? That sensing, that thinking, that feeling, that judgment, they go off that a lot of the time, and a lot of the time, what do they be? Right. So this just comes to show us that when it comes down to intuition, you need to be listening to that majority of the time. Now, it's not saying don't neglect logic. Logic is a big thing. You should be, you know what I'm saying? You should be logically thinking at the same time, especially if something is absurd. But 9 times out of 10, bro, your intuition is gonna guide you. Is gonna guide you to what serves you, man. I'm trying to tell you. Really tap in to your right side, the right pillars, the feminine aspect, the emotional aspect, the mental aspect, the spiritual aspect. Really tap into that.
And strengths, and they allow us to interact with the world in ways that go beyond just logic or observation. But how can we develop these forms of intuition in our own lives? Now that we've explored Jung's 4 types of intuition, let's talk about practical ways to cultivate them. Carl Jung believed that intuition could be developed, and he proposed several techniques that allow us to tap into this inner wisdom. Here are a few methods he recommended. 1. Active imagination. Active imagination is a technique Jung himself used and encouraged. It's a form of meditation where you let your mind wander, exploring images, thoughts, and scenarios as they arise. This technique helps you connect with your subconscious and allows your inner thoughts to come forward without judgment. Here's how you can try it. Set aside some quiet time, close your eyes, and let your mind visualize a scene or question that's on your mind. For example, if you're struggling with a decision, imagine yourself in a situation related to that choice. Then, let your mind explore that scene, paying attention to any images or emotions that arise. Engage with them as if they were real, and see where your imagination takes you. You might be surprised by the insights that come up. This technique is particularly powerful for those who have a lot of internal dialogue or find themselves overthinking. It allows the subconscious to speak up, giving you insights that your conscious mind might not reach on its own.
The way I personally strengthen my intuition is when I'm called to do something within my mind. Like if got a nudge to do something, or I have a nudge to go ahead and do whatever, I usually will go ahead and do that. Now, it's not saying that I do it 100% of the time, because again, I have my own self-governance and self-ruling. So if it's directly, let's say, I get up, I meditate. That is a self-governing rule for me, right? I get up and I meditate, but I get a nudge to get up and go do something else. Get up and go post a video, or get up and go do something. I'm not gonna bypass my own governance just to listen to that nudge. You get what I'm saying? That's where the logical thinking comes in. What one is prioritized over the other? You get what I'm trying to say? But 9 times out of 10, when I'm when I'm in meditation, when I'm in deep meditation, and I get a nudge to talk about something, or I get a nudge to go ahead and post a video about something, I will go ahead and do that. And what that also does, it creates self trust. What it does, strengthens your intuition, and it strengthens your self trust within yourself. So whenever you listen to yourself, you know that you are able to what is it called? You know that you're able to follow through with what is being called of you to do. You get what I'm trying to say? And this is what all that Christ consciousness comes into play. And we'll talk about Christ consciousness, but this is what Christ consciousness comes into play. When your mind is not wicked, and when your mind is not, what is it called? Not wicked, but when your mind is not gunked up with all types of corruption, and it's just gunked up with all types of corruption and all types of just, you know when it's gunked up with all types of bullshit, it's not gonna you're not gonna be able to truly listen to the right intuition, right? You'll get nudges to do something that's corrupted or some bullshit. You won't be getting intuition or nudges to do something that's right. You get what I'm trying to say? So when you purify the mind, you'll be able to get nudges and intuition that will lead you to your to what serves you, if that makes sense. But yeah, baseline, the best way to get a good signal, the way I see intuition is like a signal from God. It's like you're signaling from God. The best way to get that good signal is to purify the mind and listen to the nudges. Listen and actively walk or set action to the nudges that you get when you get a nudge in your mind. You get what I'm trying to say? But first thing first is you need to purify the mind. You need to purify the mind. Then you need to again listen to the nudges or the intuition or the ideas or the thoughts that come into the mind, I guess you could say.
2. Dream interpretation. For Jung, dreams were a direct link to the unconscious mind, a kind of nighttime intuition where our minds process hidden thoughts and emotions. By analyzing our dreams, we can gain insights into our deepest fears, desires, and even intuitive knowledge. To start, keep a dream journal next to your bed and jot down any dreams as soon as you wake up. Even if they seem random, patterns often emerge over time. For example, recurring symbols or themes might hint at unresolved emotions or hidden desires that your conscious mind isn't aware of. Over time, this practice helps you become more familiar with your inner world, allowing intuition to surface naturally. 3. Journaling. Journaling can be a powerful way to connect with your intuition. When you write freely, without censoring or overthinking, your subconscious mind has a chance to express itself. This process, called stream of consciousness writing, can lead to breakthroughs that might otherwise stay hidden. Try starting your journal session by writing about a problem you're facing, a decision you need to make, or even a feeling you can't quite understand. Write whatever comes to mind, even if it doesn't make immediate sense. Often, you'll find that your intuition reveals itself through patterns or thoughts you didn't expect to come up. 4. Meditation. Meditation creates a mental space where intuition can surface. Of quiet stillness, you're more likely to hear the subtle, quiet voice of intuition that often gets drowned out by the noise of everyday life. To practice, set aside 10 to 15 minutes each day for a.
And this is why I personally meditate. I'm not saying you have to meditate. Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, if you're gonna go on this spiritual journey, if you're gonna go on this self knowledge journey, this metaphysical journey, you have to meditate." I'm not gonna say you have to meditate, but what I do is I do meditate. What I do is I take 10 minutes to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. This will calm down my body, calm down my nervous system enough so I can then listen to the thoughts that come up. Then I will take 20 minutes to genuinely just listen without judgment, or yeah, just listen without judgment, but listen to the thoughts that do come. I'm not sitting there trying to get away from the thoughts or turn them off or quiet them. That's personally just not the way I meditate. What I do is I listen to the thoughts, because those are the times that I really have the best ideas. Those are the times where I really have the ideas that will bring me one step closer to what I'm manifesting, or those are the times that I really should be listening. Those are the times where I can heal. Those are the times where, you get what I'm trying to say? When I sit there and I listen to my thoughts, listen to what's going on, listen to what's happening. Those are the times where I can elevate myself. You get what I'm trying to say? But certain people also, I know that certain people, they, uh, you know, say, uh, you should, you should quiet the mind or shut the mind off, or yeah, quiet the mind, let the mind just focus on breath. Personally, when I'm meditating, my meditations aren't for me. I already do the breathing within the beginning. My meditations are mainly so I can listen to the mind, listen to what my feminine aspect is saying, listen to it, hear the intuitions, hear the guidance, hear the what is it called? Yeah, hear what spirit is saying to me at least, so that's what meditation does for me. But meditation can be done in all types of ways. Don't think that just because I do meditation my way or somebody's doing meditation in another way, that one person is wrong. You just have to figure out what meditation practice is best for you. When it comes down to meditation, there's not one way that's going to help everybody universally. You just have to go within and figure out what meditation practice works best for you. I've tried plenty of meditations, and the one that I do right now currently is the one that works best for me. So just try different meditation techniques. Try different. If you do end up wanting to meditate, try different meditation techniques. Try different ways of meditating, and figure out what genuinely works for you. And if none works for you, then you know maybe meditation is not for you, or maybe you need to do it in just try different things and see what works.
Simple meditation session. Focus on your breath, letting go of any distracting thoughts, and simply observe what thoughts or feelings arise. Over time, you'll start to notice that your intuitive insights become clearer and more frequent. Developing intuition takes patience and practice, but the rewards are invaluable. Let's take a look at some of the specific benefits you might experience as you deepen your connection with your intuition. Cultivating intuition can truly transform your life, enhancing not only your self-awareness, but also your ability to create, solve problems, and make decisions. Here's a closer look at how these benefits play out. Increased creativity. When we're tuned into our intuition, we're able to access ideas and insights that go beyond logical thinking. This connection fuels creativity, allowing us to think outside the box and explore new possibilities. For example, some of the most innovative thinkers and artists in Leonardo da Vinci often credited their creative success to a deep, almost instinctual understanding that came from within. By tapping into their intuition, they could access ideas and visions that weren't immediately accessible to.
And this is what I also been trying to practice or put into practice when it comes down to disciplining myself to be more creative. Now, I think, to be honest, I think unconsciously I'm very creative. I think unconsciously I just come up with shit and I just do it. But when it's said you need to be, when it comes down to being a creative person, anybody could be creative. But when it comes down to being a creative person or strengthening that creativity, it all comes down to strengthening your intuition, strengthening that part of yourself that comes up with these ideas, and then it takes you to put them into action. That's what strengthening that, for me at least, that's what disciplining myself in creativity looks like. That's what strengthening myself in creativity looks like, is getting an idea, and then I probably put it in my notes or I write it down, and then I put that into action. I put that into play. So then I'm becoming more disciplined and being creative. You get what I'm trying to say? Sometimes I have my slips. Sometimes I don't want to create certain things that I have come up in my mind. But a good 8 to 9 times out of 10, I'll create whatever comes into mind. You see what I'm saying?
The conscious mind. It's the difference between creating something that's smart and creating something that's truly inspired. 2. Improved problem solving. Intuition often provides shortcuts to problem solving that bypass the logical, step-by-step approach. When we're faced with a challenging situation, our intuition can offer insights that point us directly to the root of the issue. Imagine you're working on a complex project at work and, without really knowing why, you suddenly feel drawn to a particular solution. This kind of intuitive leap can save you time and energy by helping you arrive at the answer faster. For example, think of a detective solving a case. While evidence and logic play a huge role, detectives also rely on gut feelings to piece together clues. Similarly, using your intuition allows you to jump to solutions in a way that would take much longer if you were just using pure logic. 3. Enhanced decision-making. One of the biggest benefits of honing your intuition is improved decision making. In life, we're often faced with decisions that don't have a clear right or wrong answer. Logic and analysis can only take us so far. At some point, we need to trust our inner judgment. When we develop our intuition, we're better equipped to make these kinds of decisions. We're able to weigh not only the facts, but also the subtle, intangible factors that logic might overlook, like how a decision aligns with our personal values or how it might impact our emotional well-being. Consider a major life decision, like choosing a career path. Many factors come into play, from financial security to personal fulfillment. While logical thinking helps evaluate each option's practical side, your intuition might gently guide you toward the path that truly resonates with your purpose.
And this is because, again, you're being decisive. When you're indecisive, when you're constantly indecisive, that shows that plays a role within your brain. Your brain, when you're constantly not listening to your inner guidance or your inner judgment, your brain is gonna take that as, oh, you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself enough. You don't have enough self trust. You don't have enough self trust to be able to listen to your inner guidance, listen to your inner judgment, and that ends up taking a toll within your intuition. That ends up taking a toll on your intuition when you can easily just be decisive. All you have to do is be decisive. Be decisive on what you want. Be decisive on the things that you want. When you get a nudge or an idea to do something, just do it. Don't overthink it unless it's absurd and it's just out of this world. When it's something that's creative or when it's something that comes, just do it. It don't have to be nothing crazy. It don't have to be nothing. Just do it. This is how you strengthen your intuition. This is how you strengthen that inner judgment, that inner compass, that inner guidance. This is how you strengthen that, by being decisive and listening to it and being decisive on taking action upon it. You get what I'm trying to say? When you're constantly indecisive on something, when you're constantly, I don't know, maybe should I do this? Maybe I shouldn't. It takes away from your self-trust. It takes away from the trust that you have within. And you don't want that. You should always be decisive about what's going. You should always be decisive about your intuition. You should always be decisive about your self-judgment, your self-analysis. You get what I'm trying to say?
Even if it doesn't seem the most logical at first glance. By learning to trust this inner wisdom, you're likely to make choices that lead to greater happiness and satisfaction in the long run. 4. Greater self-awareness. Finally, using our intuition helps us gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. When we take time to listen to our inner thoughts and feelings, we begin to notice patterns that reveal our true desires, fears, and motivations. This self-awareness is invaluable because it helps us make choices that align with who we really are, rather than who we think we're supposed to be. For instance, you might notice that your intuition often urges you to spend more time on creative pursuits, like painting or writing, even if you've always thought of yourself as a practical person. By paying attention to these intuitive nudges, you begin to understand what brings you joy and fulfillment on a fundamental level. This insight leads to a life that feels more authentic and aligned with your true self. Developing your intuition has a huge range of benefits, but how do you know if you're naturally intuitive? There are some signs you can look for that might reveal if you're already in tune with this inner wisdom. Intuitive types often feel deeply connected to their inner world, and they have a certain sensitivity to the hidden layers of life. If you're wondering if you might be naturally intuitive, here are a few signs to watch out for. 1. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. One of the first signs of an intuitive person is that they frequently tune into their own thoughts and feelings. If you're someone who's always reflecting on why you feel a certain way, or contemplating deeper questions about life, this is a strong indicator of intuition. Intuitive people tend to feel things strongly, and can sense emotions within themselves before others even realize what's happening. Imagine you're at a social gathering, and something doesn't feel right. Perhaps you suddenly feel uneasy, even though there's no clear reason. This sensitivity to your inner emotions and reactions is a sign that you're in tune with your intuition. 2. Observe your behavior. Another way to spot intuition is by looking at how you behave in everyday situations. Intuitive people often notice patterns and connections that others miss. They might have a strong sense of just knowing things, even when the evidence isn't clear. For example, you might have situations or people without knowing exactly why, only to find out later that it was the right call. This can show up in practical ways too. For instance, you might get a sudden urge to reach out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, only to find out they're going through a tough time. Or, you might be drawn to certain hobbies or interests that turn out to be deeply meaningful. Observing these patterns in your behavior can reveal that your intuition is at work. Carl Jung believed that intuition was a vital part of our psychology, a way for us to connect with a realm beyond the visible, rational world. By understanding the four types of intuition, sensing, thinking, feeling, and judging, we can tap into different ways of knowing that go beyond our usual, logical mind. Developing this intuition takes practice, but as we've discussed, there are many ways to do so, through active imagination, dream interpretation, journaling, and meditation. And as you cultivate your intuition, you'll start to experience profound benefits like increased creativity, better problem solving, improved decision making, and greater self-awareness. So,
Now notice, all these things have to do with the mental, the right pillar. When you tap into that right pillar, you see how much it just helps. Creativity, emotional control, or emotional intelligence, self-awareness. Um, you see what I'm saying? All these aspects of yourself that will help guide you along your way and will take you far. All have to do with the right pillar of your mind. This is why women last longer. This is why women live longer than niggas. I'll be real. This is why. This is why women live longer than us, bro. It's because they be thinking, bro.
whether you're an intuitive type or just starting to explore this side of yourself, remember that intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And as you continue to listen to your inner wisdom, you'll find yourself living a life that feels truer to who you are, guided by a deep, inner sense of purpose and understanding. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.
Oh, hold on, y'all. Uh-oh. It's tweaking. Hold on. My bad, ski. Alright, but yeah. Yeah. The way I see it, bro, is like, look, your intuition is almost like it's that direct signal to whatever you call God, to whatever you call God, your higher self, God, the universe, uh, uh, I don't know, source, the divine. It's the direct signal. To be honest, the right pillar of your mind is the direct signal to God. It's the direct signal to your soul. It's the direct. You know what I mean? It's the spiritual aspect. It's the unknown. You get what I'm trying to say? And when you strengthen it, it takes you a far longer way than it does when you're operating on your the left pillar of yourself, the more masculine aspects of yourself, the more matter, physical aspects of yourself. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, that was a good video, bro. That was a good video, man. That was a good video. Shout out Whisper Ideas. Alright. I see Evelyn Shaggy Double O. Hola, how are you doing today? If you still in here, hola, how you doing? Rosie Fan 50. Hello, how are you? I'm doing good. How about you? How you doing, Rosie? If you in here still. But heck Yeah, bro. Man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. This whole shit been getting difficult, bro. I'll let y'all know right now, bro. I feel so disconnected. Like before, when I was streaming and I was creating, I felt like, to describe the feeling I was feeling, it was like I was so connected to the expression of myself. It was like, I don't know. Nowadays, bro, it just, I'm tripping over words. I don't know. I'm not able to properly express myself right now, bro. It's super weird right now, bro. But still push forward, still give out the game, still kick the game that I have, even if I'm not feeling it. You did. But let's start this new. Let's do this new video. All right. Listen to your intuition. Ooh, that round a little bit. Buy after school. We love after school over here, bro. We love after school. I say I love after school. I'm not even subscribed to after school. Let me subscribe to after school. Man, we love after school over here, man. Great videos, man. Great videos. I'm already liking the video, bro. Let's get into the video, bro. Let's get into the video.
Now, in the psychology world, we call gut reactions somatic markers. That's the technical term for it. And this is any time where your emotions really guide or bias your decision making. And this is happening all the time. I think a lot of people try to make reasonable decisions by pushing emotions aside. Instead of using emotions, they rely on logic and they try to think through things rationally. But the argument that I'm going to make in this series is that there's no such thing as pure rational thought. Emotions are always there to help guide us to our everyday decision-making process.
And this is, bro, this is so backwards compared to how, we are taught today. Nowadays, we are taught, man, disregard your emotions. Disregard how you feel. If you don't feel like doing it, man, disregard that. You need to constantly grind. You need to grind. You need to disregard how you feel. Man, it don't matter how you feel, man. Just do it. And although there are certain situations that call for you to just do it, there's also situations, a lot of them situations, that is programming at its finest. That is programming. When they tell us, man, disregard your feelings, disregard how you feel, you need to just go, you need to just do it. That's the quickest way people end up burning out. And you see when people burn out and they still have this mindset of, oh, I need to do it regardless, I need to just do it. Then they start using substitutes to run off fumes. You see what I'm saying? And that's the quickest way that you become way unhealthy. You see what I'm saying? That's the quickest way to burnout. When you can easily use emotions as the guide. When you use your emotions as the guide, they usually 9 times out of 10 are the ones that are going to get you to your desire, whatever. It's going to get you to where you need to be quicker than as if you are saying, oh, I need to disregard how I feel, or disregard how I need to just do it. I need to just do it. I seen this video on TikTok. It was like two people building a ladder, or a ladder was being made, right? And one side said perfection, one side said consistency. To me, perfection looks like you listening to your emotions. You're always going to get the best results when you listen to your emotions, when you go off of your intuition, the intuition based, when you feel the best, when you are feeling the best, when you are the best, you get the best results. That is perfection. Consistency is, I don't care how I feel, I'm going to do it regardless. I don't care how I feel, I'm going to just do it. I just got to do it every day. It don't matter how I feel, I need to just do it. Now, although consistency does come with, a sense of self-governance, self-trust, it also makes you, when you disregard your emotions, you disregard how you feel, it takes away from that right pillar of the mind, that spiritual mental aspect of yourself that strengthens your intuition. That's where your intuition lies, basically. But in the video, it was basically showing how the perfect ladder has, perfect stepping stones, perfect, but with the consistent ladder, it didn't matter how the ladder was being made. It was mistakes being made. It was like this, but who ended up getting there first? The consistent person. You see what I'm saying? The person that was doing it perfect, they end up getting there, but a little later than the person who was disregarding their emotions. Again, disregarding how they feel. They ended up getting there, but now it's all these complications. Now their ladder is rickety and is you know what I'm saying? Is broken and all this stuff. You can, the one that we all know, the hare and the tortoise. The hare, obviously being the the fastest, not being able to get to the destination because it's all cocky, thinking it's gonna get there fast. It you know what I'm saying? But whole time the tortoise got there fast because it took its time. It's slow. It took its time. It took the scenery route. You see what I'm saying? The correlation I wanted to make was, you see this all the time with people in any industry, right? Let's say people in the music industry. Usually those people who cut corners, they take as if you were taking the more slower route. You know what I'm saying? Building the house on concrete. Building the house on concrete other than building the house on sand. You get what I'm trying to say? It's better if you build the house on concrete. Strive for perfection in your way. Strive for perfection in your way. Listen to how you feel, other than listening to, I don't care how I feel, nigga. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. It don't hit the same. It's not going, when you get it, it's just not going to hit the same. You see what I'm saying?
Here's an example. If I asked you how your day was, what would you say? Now, for most of you, you have an immediate response to this. My day was good. It's been okay. Actually, today was not that great of a day. But what you did not do was go through every single moment of your day, the entire day, weighing each and every moment, making an average of how much you liked or disliked the things that happened since you got out of bed. We just don't do that. If you had to go through that process every time somebody asked you how your day was, it would take you 3 days to respond to that question. We simply can't use pure logic to respond. We have to use a gut decision, a gut reaction to that question. Because if we relied only on logic, it would take forever. So the hypothesis here with somatic markers is that pure logic takes too long. And so emotions help make shortcuts to decision making. And these emotional or mental shortcuts are called somatic markers, and more commonly in day-to-day use, we call them gut feelings or intuitions. Now, I think this is a really amazing finding in emotion psychology, because there have been scientists who studied the human brain. Where are somatic markers stored? And it turns out a lot of people believe that somatic markers are stored in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which is this really interesting region at the bottom front base of the brain near the orbital frontal cortex, where we've talked about before, contains a lot of information about how we perceive emotion. Now, I want to tell you about one research project that really blew my mind, and it was how does decision-making change when the ventromedial prefrontal cortex is either healthy or damaged? And remember, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex is where we think our somatic markers or gut instincts are stored. So what these scientists did was they put together an experiment where participants sat down in front of 4 piles of cards. Card pile A, card pile B, card pile C, card pile D. And all they were told to do was draw the cards from these 4 piles. Now, sometimes when they drew a card, they would win some money. Sounds great. But sometimes when they would draw a card, they would lose some money. Not so good. What the participants didn't know, however, was that some of the decks were rigged so that they would win more money over time. Other decks were rigged so that they would lose more money over time. So for example, maybe decks A and B were the good decks, decks C and D were the bad decks, but really it was tough to determine from the first few draws which decks were good and which decks were bad. Now, participants who have normal brains, who didn't have damage to their ventromedial prefrontal cortexes, they started drawing from the decks that had the good outcomes. They started to realize, maybe after about 30 turns or so, that some of these decks were rigged to be good, so they drew more cards from those decks. Patients who had ventromedial prefrontal cortex damage didn't have the best decision-making process, and they drew from each of the piles equally and ended up losing money over time. But now here's the kicker. Throughout this entire process of drawing cards from these 4 decks, the scientists measured how sweaty the participants' palms were getting, because skin sweat is related to anxiety. And they hypothesized that maybe our body would know which deck was the good deck and which deck was the bad deck before our brains caught up to it. Turns out they were right, because participants who had no damage to their ventromedial prefrontal cortex, after only 10 draws, after only drawing 10 cards from these decks, started to have a little bit of sweat on their palm before they decided to draw from the bad decks. They were having anticipatory anxiety about drawing from those bad decks. And the amazing part is, they did not consciously know at that time that those decks were bad decks. So the body knew before the mind caught up that some of those decks were good for you and some of the decks were bad for you. So I think this is really amazing evidence that our body is trying to help us to respond to fundamental life decisions that are sometimes difficult.
For more interesting videos like this one, please subscribe.
That was the video. Wow. No, that was a good video. See, now that was a way that they explained it was more scientifically based. I'm not versed in the scientifics. I'm gonna keep it a bean, but that just comes to show you that intuition can be explained scientifically as well. So it's not just woo-woo, but it's a genuine thing that everybody can obtain. Alright. Alright. God damn, y'all. I ain't even listening up on my own. See, the thing is, bro. The thing is with streaming is I actually like doing this shit. But it be sometimes that I don't want to do it. So it's a big thing. It's like, alright, do I listen to myself and I say, man, I'm going to take this time out? Or am I going to go ahead and do it? Now, the thing about me is things work out the best on both sides. So even if I don't feel like doing it, if I do it anyway, I'm going to end up liking it. Or I'm going to end up eventually getting used to it. But if I don't do it and I allow myself to rest, or I allow myself to sit with, being able to rest for a while, I'm going to come back even better. You see what I'm saying? So it's like flip-flop. But in the moment, I don't be feeling like doing this shit, bro. Like, I'll be real. But it's like I have a whole bunch of man, I just had like a whole bunch of ideas, a whole bunch of things I've been wanting to stream. So I'm like, bro, I can't just be sitting down on these ideas. I gotta go get up and do something. And yeah. But it's not even that. I don't know, bro. The best way I can explain what I'm feeling is my throat chakra messed up, bro. Pause. but the ability to express myself right now is very difficult. And I can't even think straight, bro. I'll be real. So I don't know, bro. Like, I'm gonna figure it out, though. I'm gonna figure it out. It's just right now I'm letting y'all know, like, shit don't feel real right now. You see what I'm saying? But hey, I'm gonna wait until this reconnect real quick. Alright. Alright. Let's get into this next video. How to develop your intuition. Sadhguru Answers by Sadhguru. Let's get into this, man. Namaskaram. Sadhguru, what is the difference between instinct and intuition? Should we follow our instincts or our intuition? Now, the way I see it, again, you have your intuition, which is the right pillar, the feminine aspect of yourself, the spiritual aspect of yourself, the mental aspect of yourself, and you have instincts, the animalistic aspect of yourself, the masculine aspect of yourself, the left pillar. These have to do with the left pillar, the right pillar, the feminine, the masculine, the matter, the mind, the spiritual, the physical. Animalistic brain, spiritual brain.
See, instinct is a survival process, which might have gotten weak living in artificial circumstances. But if you go back and again live in nature, within a short span of time, you will see there's a different level of instinct in you. So, instinct is a different aspect. Intuition is a different aspect. Instinct is a certain dimension of physical perception. Intuition is not perception. Intuition is just a different dimension of computing. Same information, logically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, intuition, talk 1 step. That's all it is. So how to develop intuition? There are various methods. The Shambhavi Mahamudra that you do definitely enhances one's intuition, but don't try to consciously enhance that because you will go about doing guesswork. Guesswork is not intuition. Intuition means you just know, clearly know, that you can bank your life on it. Guesswork will lead you to a lot of confusion.
Overthinking. Again, being indecisive. I feel like all intuition is just being decisive on how you feel, or being decisive on your inner knowing. That's all intuition is. Your inner knowing, you have a great sense of conviction in your inner knowing, or your inner knowing, basically.
Oh, I have a gut feeling. There are some people.
Gut feeling, yeah.
Always their gut is saying something because of bad food, I think. So, there are specific methods to develop intuitiveness. There are certain systems of yoga which are totally left-oriented. Here, the yoga that you learn with me in a program like this, we want to bring a balance between the right and left because you want to live a normal life. There are certain systems of yoga where they're not interested in what you call as normal life, but this cobra will already start behaving in a different way if you know what's going to happen. He's so perceptive. The earth's intentions, he knows, not the happenings, intentions, he already knows. That's the reason why you see Shiva is carrying cobra here, a reptile, a crawly creature, he should have kept it down at least. He carries it here because Shiva is making a statement, you are as good as me. He has 3 eyes, everything possible he's seeing, but he is telling, the cobra is as good as me. If you worship me, you have to worship him because he's as good as me, he sees as much as I see. So that's why the cobra became very significant. If you see a yogi with a cobra, not me. There are other kinds who are freaky. Who'll have a cobra and who'll have green-colored glass bangles on their left hand. If you see them, if you look at his nostril, you will see he has beeswax sealing off his right nostril. If you see that he doesn't have a beeswax, that means he is past his 12.25 year solar cycle and he is worth being with. There are things about him that you cannot imagine. So, you cannot go that way. What you can do is, the simple practice of Shambhavi definitely opens up that dimension. But before you go into intuition, it's very important the logical dimension of your life is properly established. Otherwise, every fool who can't think straight will think he's intuitive. Yes. First establish the logical dimension of your life perfectly clear, then explore intuitiveness, it'll be fabulous. But without establishing logic, you try to walk into intuitiveness, you'll just go into a world of confusion.
Now that makes sense. If you don't know where you're headed in life, why would you ever think that your intuition is gonna guide you anywhere? You have to clearly, again, this is what comes with clearly gaining, this is what comes with clarity. Clearly defining where you want to go. Clearly defining where you're at and where you want to go. Again, clarity. Finding clarity first. Then go towards, intuition-based feeling and shit like that. But clarity is very important too. Clarity is very important. Clarity will keep you on track. Clarity will let you know that you don't need to be going this way, that way, over here. No, right here is where we're at. We're here now and we're gonna be there. We're here, right here. It's the straight line. You see what I'm saying? But good video. Five video. A little short. Gonna lie. Alright. We got 3 more videos to go. 3 more videos. Let's get to it. How to cultivate your sixth sense. The Power of Intuition by Academy of Ideas. Let's get to it, bruh.
We only believe in those thoughts which have been conceived not in the brain, but in the whole body. Intuition is one of the most powerful faculties for gaining knowledge about the world. Along with reason, science, and imagination, it is one of the primary means by which we discover truth. The great psychologist William James went so far as to suggest that intuition is the deep thing in us. The reasoned argument is but a surface exhibition. In this video, we explore how we can tap into our intuition to answer life's big questions. Questions such as, what is my purpose? How do I find a meaning in my existence? Should I make a major career change? Should I end a relationship? Asking the proper question is the central action of transformation, writes Clarissa Estes. The key question causes germination of consciousness. The properly shaped question always emanates from an essential curiosity about what stands behind. Questions are the keys that cause the secret doors of the psyche to swing open. Intuition is a process that works below the threshold of conscious awareness, tapping into the innate wisdom of the psyche, the embodied wisdom of the physical self, and a lifetime of experience. Our intuition utilizes these sources of knowledge to yield insights that are beyond the reach of conscious thought. How it does this is not well understood, or as Carl Jung wrote, I say intuition is a sort of perception which does not go exactly by the senses, but goes via the unconscious. And at that I leave it and say, I don't know how it works. While intuition is a mysterious phenomenon, there are steps we can take to help us generate the intuitive insights that can answer life's big questions. The first step is to clearly formulate the question. Our question should not be trivial in nature, but transformational. It should be one that, if answered, will have a lasting impact on the course of our life. This step is simple, but many people never take it. They don't consciously formulate the big questions of life that beg for answers. And as Bernardo Kastrup writes in More Than Allegory, for as long as the right questions aren't asked by the intellect, the ultimate answers of life and reality will remain elusive. To put the intuitive mind to work in finding the answers we seek, it is best to get our self-reflective, reasoning mind out of the way after it has done its job of formulating the question. For just as a wise sage spends much time in meditative silence, so too the intuitive mind works best when not interfered with by too much conscious thinking. Or as Kastrup writes, the intellect self-reflectively contemplates its circumstances and asks progressively more refined questions, while the unconscious mind, nudged along by these questions, reacts intuitively with symbolic answers. As a matter of fact, this is how every creative person ordinarily operates in any area of intellectual activity, from science to business. First, the intellect contemplates the problem and iterates upon the right questions to ask.
I see what he's saying. So imagine this. Imagine you're with a significant other, right? I don't even say a significant other, but say you're with somebody that you want to talk to, right? And imagine that you're just getting this weird feeling, like you don't know what it is, but you're just not, like, you have observational skills, so you're observing what they're doing, you're reading up on what they're doing. Immediately, the first question that will come to mind, especially if they ring off a red flag, the first question that will come to mind is, do I stay with this person or do I leave? Do I stick around for the quest or do I leave for my own well-being? Now, this is where people override their intuition. A lot of people, because of curiosity, will just go with the quest. Now, although this gives you experience, the same knowledge or wisdom you're trying to experience, or the same knowledge or wisdom you get from going with that journey, can be attained by listening to the other option. Fall back. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to get yourself hurt. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? And your girl end up cheating on you, or your significant other end up cheating on you. The question would be, do I stick with this person because this person makes me feel good, I really love this person, or do I leave this person now because they just overlap the boundary. They just, you know what I'm saying? Now, you have a lot of people who stick and they stay with the person just for the same thing to happen over and over, and you have a lot of people who go with their intuition, go with their instincts, go with their gut feeling and say, no, I'm gonna leave. You see what I'm saying? It's always the question first. First really comes when it comes down to intuition. When you know your balance when it comes down to this. Look, you have the logical side, right? The physical side. Of course, we're living in the physical world. We're gonna see. So you're observing the situation. You're observing everything. You're observing the situation or the circumstance or the problem, right? Then you end up creating the question that needs to be formed for you to come up with a decision, right? Then you use your intuition to guide you to the decision that needs to be made. Usually, the intuition is probably the first thing that comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is usually your intuition telling you what you should be doing. When you're in a bad situation or you're about to make a bad choice, let's say you're at a store and you hungry and you don't got the funds. Your brain is gonna go to, should I steal or should I just walk away and trust, or just walk away because stealing is bad? Immediately your brain is gonna go, oh, I shouldn't steal, that's bad. That's intuition. And not even intuition, morals, to be honest. But that's intuition tell you, no, I shouldn't, because that's gonna put you in a bad situation. That could potentially put you in a bad situation. But usually, what we do, I override. Now I'm gonna go do this. You know what I'm saying? It's bad work.
Then you must stop thinking, so the questions have a chance to sink into the unconscious mind. Once they do, inspiration suddenly strikes, as if out of nowhere. Silencing the mind, however, is the opposite of what many people do when attempting to answer the big questions of life. Due to the misconception that conning is our most powerful cognitive tool, many of us endlessly ruminate on these questions and hope that the more we think about them, the more likely we are to discover a solution.
Indecisiveness. Well, I say indecisiveness. When you're indecisive on these decisions or whatever is coming up in your that requires intuition or logical thinking, when you're indecisive and you're not choosing or you're not choosing a decision, that one weakens your intuition, but it weakens your self-trust even more. That you should actively be trying to become more decisive, of a more decisive human. Now, it is a perk to be able to analyze the situation, step back, think about it, and then decide. But you should never want to overthink a decision or overthink what's going on. You know, overthink any circumstance, situation, problem, any decision. You should never want to overthink it, because that just leads to indecision. And indecision is stagnation. But he ended up saying something before this I was going to talk about.
This reasoning mind, however, is the opposite of what many strikes, as if out of.
Then you must stop thinking so the questions have a chance to sink into the unconscious mind. Mind you, the unconscious mind is the unknown. It's the unknown. Again, the unconscious mind, the spiritual aspect of your mind, the unconscious mind, the emotional aspect of your mind. That's the one that leads you to whatever the decision that's right. Is the spiritual aspect, the aspect of yourself that you don't know why it's telling you to do this, but it's telling you to do it. It's the unconscious aspect of yourself, the spiritual aspect of yourself.
Nowhere. A powerful cognitive tool, many of us endlessly ruminate on these questions and hope that the more we think about them, the more likely we are to discover a solution. Often, however, all we do is spin ourselves in circles of thought, and we never arrive at satisfactory answers. In her book, Extraordinary Knowing, the psychoanalyst Elizabeth Lloyd Mayer suggests that the phenomenon of having something on the tip of the tongue is a simple example that shows how intuition works best when we stop trying to consciously find an answer to a question or problem. Or as she writes, if you think of a time when you tried hard to remember something, you know the more you tried to remember it, the more you pushed it down within you. However, when you relaxed and allowed it to emerge, it bubbled right up. You accomplished that with no effort.
I was going to bring up the same situation. But yeah, bro, imagine it like, again, whenever you're trying to think of something, like imagine you forget a word, right? You forget a word and you like, dang, what is the word? What is the word? And you're constantly trying to think of the word. You're not going to be able to think of the word. It's actually going to get worse. You're going to keep forgetting it. But when you actively, it's not that you forget that you're trying to remember the word, but when you allow yourself to just move on, you move on. You don't fixate on that you forgetting the word. You move on. You end up remembering it later. You end up, oh, I remember exactly what it is.
That's how intuition works. Effortlessness. It's easier than you think. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer also emphasized how the wisdom that emanates from the intuitive mind is most forthcoming when we diminish the rumination of the conscious mind, or as he writes, I have familiarized myself with the factual data of a theoretical and practical problem. I do not think about it again. Yet often a few days later, the answer to the problem will come into my mind from its own accord. The operation which has produced it, however, remains a mystery to me. Quieting them through activities such as relaxation techniques, meditation, napping, listening to music, or walking in nature. We just need to do something that distracts us from the problem at hand. the moments just prior to sleep or just prior to awakening, are also known to be ripe for intuitive insights, as these are times when our conscious thought is at a minimum. Along with quieting the mind, we should strive to connect to the body, for intuitive insights present themselves both as bodily experiences and as conscious thoughts. Our ability to detect intuitions, therefore, is promoted by exercises that ground us in the physical body, or as Ian McGilchrist writes, even if intuitive insights manifest as cognitive, they are embodied, in the sense that they are both informed by and inform the motion of our limbs, our breathing and pulse, the emotion of our heart and gut and mind. Gut feelings are one of the primary forms of intuitive communication. In his book Intelligence in the Flesh, Guy Claxton notes that, if you are told the best way to do this task is to go with your gut feeling, you do better. Just this simple suggestion is enough to redirect your attention from more rational to more intuitive strategies. If you're interested in this topic, check out our membership video titled The Loss of Intuition: Why Too Much Consciousness is a Disease. This is just one of over 100 videos available to our members, and we are adding new videos to our membership library every month. Support our work and sign up today for $5.99 a month or $49.99 a year at academyofideas.com/members. In addition to being integral to our intuitive capacities, the gut also plays a prominent role in our emotional experience, or as McGilchrist writes, the gut and the psyche have close connections. Anxiety, depression, and other disorders have characteristic expressions in gut behavior, and the associations work both ways. Diseases of the gut affect mind and mood. Recognizing the role that the gut plays in emotional processing, it will not be surprising to learn that chronically suppressing emotions impedes our intuitive abilities. When we sever our connection to the emotional signals that emanate from the gut, we also sever our connection to an important source of intuitive communication. Or as McGilchrist writes, lack of awareness of emotions negatively affects intuitive decision-making. Asking questions, quieting the mind, connecting to the body, and being more emotionally aware are steps we can take to increase the chance of having an intuitive insight that can transform our life. In her book, Extraordinary Knowing, Elizabeth Lloyd Mayer interviews many individuals who display remarkable intuitive abilities. One of her interviewees was a woman named Helen Palmer, who, as Mayer notes, has written extensively about intuition and travels all over the world through her school, which teaches people to develop intuitive abilities. To conclude this video, we will turn to Palmer's insights for some practical advice on how to strengthen our intuitive capabilities. Intuition is a very different variety of knowing than the knowing we call rational. It's different in kind, and you simply cannot, engage in both kinds of knowing at the same time. This degree of intuitive knowing relies on different, subtler signals than rational knowing. Those signals only become perceptible with a shift in consciousness, a shift out of rational thinking.
See, that's where I think it's wrong. Now, I do agree. I don't think you can rationally think and intuitively think at the same time. One has to be one. But I think it's like a sequence. So whenever I'm making a decision that I feel like it needs both at the moment, so I can have a reasoning behind it. Like if I have to have a reasoning behind something, I'm gonna think rationally first. No, I'm gonna think intuitively first. The intuition is always gonna be there for me. I'm naturally all intuitive. Intuition is always gonna be there. I'm gonna think intuitively. The decision is gonna already be intuitively there. Then I'm gonna try to feed into that intuition. Or I wouldn't say necessarily feed into the intuition, but I'm gonna see if I can try to prove that intuition. If the intuition it can't be proven, or you see what I'm saying, then I'm not gonna feed into the intuition. But if it can be proven by any means, then I'm gonna listen to the intuition. But this is only for things that need a reason behind it, that is reasonable. Even though the intuition is not reasonable, some things call for a reason. Some things do call for a reason. Some things do call for rational thinking, and that's where both both your intuition and your rational thinking skills come into play. But they definitely both can be done at the same time. But that's the sequence that I go by. Is you go your intuition first. You're 9 times out of 10 intuitively you'll have the answer already. If you're tapped in, I say in specific, if you're tapped in intuitively, you'll already have the answer. Already have the answer made up within your mind. Then, if it needs to be a reasonable decision, then you'll start using rational thinking. Then you'll start using analytics, you know, critical thinking skills. That's when you start using those. But other than that, man, 9 times out of 10, bro, I don't be needing reasonable. I don't have reasonable decision making. I don't need reasonable decision. I don't be in situations where I need to be reasonably making decisions. I can use my intuition anytime. You see what I'm saying?
That's a jolt for intellectually trained people to realize. But as you learn to shift back and forth, you learn to trust it. And the shift gets easier, quicker, and more automatic. Our minds resist intuitive knowing. Once you learn to relax that resistance, you can start to reclaim intuition from its suppression by the rational mind. The more you work with it, the more remarkable your knowing becomes. You free the receptive state from its armoring by the ego. You learn to live closer to receptivity. If you're tired of the intellectual shallowness and sterility of modern culture and want to learn about the ideas of the greatest thinkers in history, join our membership program and access over 100 videos created to deepen your understanding.
But yeah, as far as when it comes down to the rational mind and the intuitive mind, again, the masculine and the feminine mind, the left pillar and the right pillar. That's the way that I use it. That's the way that I balance myself out. Because naturally, I don't know why it is, I don't know how so, but naturally my intuition is like this. I think it's just over the years I've been so in tune with just listening to my inner judgment that I've unconsciously strengthened that intuition. So you know what I'm saying? But what I've have to work on, or not even work on, but what I've had to work on was becoming more conscious about the way that I think when it comes down to rational thinking and intuitively thinking. So again, I can think about something intuitively, or something intuitively will come up, but then it will also take me to sit there and really, let's rationally think about this. Let's analyze this decision. Let's let's think deeper on this decision. I'm not a person that I will linger on to a decision too much. I don't like lingering on to anything. I don't like stagnation at all. So when I get into these points of thinking, 9 times out of 10, I'll come up with my answer within on the fly, or I'll come up with an answer within thinking for a good amount of time. But all it takes, bro, is just intuition. First, listen to your intuition. First, listen to what's the first thing that comes up with the first, or listen to your gut feeling, and then think rationally if the decision is called for a reasoning, call for some reasoning behind it. But that's the way I go about balancing these two out. But yeah. Ooh-wee. All right. Discernment raises your vibration by The Alchemist. Fuck with The Alchemist over here. I don't even know why I don't subscribe to these people, bro. It's crazy. Let's get into this video.
One of the biggest areas that we place our focus on within the spiritual community, as well as the conscious community, is protection. Protection and shielding ourselves is one of the most common and universal themes that we all are concerned with. So today I'm going to be talking about the extra metaphysical benefits of discernment and how discernment protects one along their spiritual awakening journey. First, it's important to know that discernment is the complete opposite of judgment. In fact, we resort to judgment when we lack discernment. Judgment is rooted in our egoic and programmed self. It's not coming from our true intuition or clarity. It's not activating our holistic ability for intelligence.
Damn, so this is the thing. If discernment isn't coming from judgment, then how is it coming from intuition? Because intuition is just your inner knowing. Oh, no, that would, yeah. I was going to say, if intuition is just your inner judgment, but it's not your inner judgment, it's just your inner knowing. I guess your inner judgment would be, I think your inner judgment comes from, this is what I think. Your inner judgment comes from you listening only to the mind, the spiritual aspects of yourself. When you're not balanced, you're going for inner judgment. But intuition comes from rational. I don't know, bro. I don't know. This is why I put up the what's the name? Because I'm like, Dean, what is this, bro?
Discernment is when our intellect and our intuition have integrated and merged. So discernment is coming from an awakened state of being, whereas judgment is coming from predispositions, prejudice, fear, a need to feel superior or a sense of superiority, lack of information, or denial. So all of these distinct temperaments belong to judgment, and judgment is of our lower nature or our programmed self, whereas discernment is coming from our connection to our higher self. So when we're implementing more of our capacity for discernment, we're also reinforcing our connection with our higher self because we are practicing the attributes of our higher self. And by doing so, we link up with a feedback loop so that our higher self has a better direct connection to be able to inform us. So as we practice the way appears in front of us. And with this discernment is linking us to a higher plane of consciousness. Now that's important when it comes to protection, because when we think of what we need protection from, we're typically thinking of things of a metaphysical nature, even though many of us fear very real and very tangible things that are strictly of a third-dimensional, physical nature. Typically, when we speak overall about this topic of protection, we're usually referring to it in a metaphysical sense, meaning we need protection from the metaphysical. And so discernment is the number one faculty that comes into play when we're speaking about this, whether we're talking about it from the third dimensional point of view or a higher metaphysical point of view. And that's because discernment works on both planes of consciousness. You could think of discernment as a cross. What happens is the more we incur and practice the faculty of discernment, what we're doing is connecting and linking more and more with our higher self. And by doing so, what that does is not just protect us on the physical plane, and how it would protect us on the physical plane is through preventative action. So we would have the discernment used in the capacity of foresight. And with the foresight, we're able to take measures before we have to get to a dire place with them. So in its most mundane and practical form, discernment is helping us navigate the third dimensional plane by making better choices with foresight so that we don't end up in dire situations with dire consequences. Now, how this works with discernment linking us with protection into the metaphysical plane is that as we are now...
So discernment basically is just your intuition and your rational mind working together. Mainly your rational mind, to be honest, because let's say you're in a situation, right, that calls for you to, let's bring up the stealing from the store situation. Your discernment will be the one that's going to tell you, hey, let's not do this. Or intuitively, you're going to know, hey, let's not do this. Now when you think rationally, logically, and analytically, you're gonna think, all right, you're gonna think ahead. Where is this gonna take me if I end up getting caught? You see what I'm saying? That's discernment. Discernment is, where is this gonna take me if I end up getting caught, or if what are the consequences of doing this thing? You see what I'm saying? What's the consequences of doing this if I take action?
Navigating the third dimensional plane. If we are not linked to our higher self, or if we are not linked to a higher plane, then what ends up happening is that we're only navigating this plane based off of the knowledge of the third dimension, meaning we don't have discernment or awareness of the higher planes of consciousness, be they of a positive or negative orientation. And so what's happening is that once we develop strong discernment, we start connecting with our higher self. And by doing so, now our higher self has more of an ability to help navigate us on that plane. So do you see how us practicing discernment on the third dimension is what aligns us with our higher self? And the reason it aligns us with our higher self is because discernment is an attribute of our highest self. So when we're practicing the higher attributes, we're now embodying our higher self. And through that practicing, now we are connecting with the higher self, and our higher self, because it is just another form of saying our future self, is able to feed us resources into our experience in the past, aka this present moment. So the higher self now is able to, you could look at it as intervene, because there's a certain level of alignment that has been established. If feedback loops with the future is too woo, then you could also just look at the same concept as, once you practice discernment, that's a higher vibratory level of consciousness. And when you have a higher vibratory level of consciousness, you are now incrementally raising your frequency. You can raise your frequency to meet your higher self or your future self in the middle. And by doing so, that anchors us into a higher level of consciousness, making.
So discernment would basically be like your inner wisdom. Because if she's saying, like, it's basically that aspect of yourself that can see the consequence of said action, then it would be your inner wisdom. It'd be that inner knowing, the inner wisdom of what is the consequence of this action, or what is the consequence of me choosing this decision. See what I'm saying?
The levels of consciousness that are vibrating below wherever our frequency is currently occupying, no longer able to interact with us. So in its most metaphysical sense, discernment acts as a huge protection and a barrier, because we are no longer a vibrational match to certain consciousness levels, meaning certain realms and what occupies those realms. This is also why it is so important when we are raising our vibration and therefore our frequency to be concerned with integrating our shadow and shadow aspects. It's because if we have blind spots that we are unconsciously operating from, then we're not able to access our full capacity for discernment, because we're coming from a projection, or we're coming from a denial or a fear. Any type of area that we aren't aware of within the self, now we have as an external barrier, because it's blocking us from true discernment. So discernment is what protects us on multiple levels of reality. And yet discernment should not be equated with hypervigilance, because sometimes along our spiritual journey, we end up getting stuck in a state of hypervigilance and actually believe that that is us practicing discernment, and that's not. When we're in and we're pretty much stuck in that mode, is we're coming from paranoia. And paranoia is not discernment. Discernment also includes within it the ability to feel free and safe enough to be creative, to exert our free will. And when you're exerting your power and your free will, you're innately not in a state of hypervigilance. So even though discernment has clarity and intellect and the ability to filter whatever harmful information is coming through, it can filter it through the logic. it's still not coming from a state of a place of being of fear. Whereas paranoia and hypervigilance are coming from that level of consciousness. They're coming from a certain vibrational level. And in that level of reality, you can be a match to so many different experiences that come and confirm that you should be paranoid. And they also come and confirm that you need to be in a state of hypervigilance. Whereas discernment has this beautiful balancing act, this beautiful harmonic dance that it does, where we are incurring new information, and it's not always going to be pleasant, and we're not shutting ourselves off to things that we need to learn to be aware of. So because we're not in denial of any negative aspects of this reality, and because we're not in denial of any positive aspects of this reality, we have this beautiful harmony where we're able to understand and hold more awareness. And by doing so, we're able to balance our actions and navigate better. So we're able to not only take preventative actions, we're also able to protect ourselves and assert ourselves with our own free will. Whereas when we're coming from a place of hypervigilance, what we're actually doing is just confirming our reality needs to be defended and protected. So with discernment, we have stronger psychic protection, but our attention is not hyper-focused on protection. And because of that, we have more quality of life, which allows for more creative freedom, which only breeds more sovereignty and more higher order thinking and capacity for higher order concepts. All of this is, you could think of like a spiral upward. Whereas if we think that we're coming from a place of discernment, we have used our logic to orient us into a state of paranoia and hypervigilance. Our nervous system actually is locked into that state and isn't developing a feedback loop with our higher self. So what we're doing is having confirmation bias from all of the experiences that we're having enter our field, rather than coming from a truly discerning space. Another way that discernment protects us is in the dreamscape. While we're asleep, our discernment acts like a barrier, like a force field, that doesn't allow in certain interactions or experiences because it's harnessing us, or it has anchored us into a certain level of being. And should our force field be breached, or an attempt to breach it, we are woken up by our discernment. So it acts in two different ways. It repels any type of interactions or experiences that are not a vibrational match, but then also we are woken to discernment and not allowed to follow through with anything that certain entities or certain experiences wanted to breach our realm for. So our level of discernment actually protects us from psychic attacks. Now, with all of this talk about discernment protecting us, the natural question that would arise is, how do we get discernment? We won't be able to acquire true discernment if we have no vested interest in awareness. So broadening our level of awareness is crucial to developing discernment. But then on top of that, what happens is that we learn about discernment through the trials and the tribulations of life. How else would we possibly know? And so because of that, reflection is a deeply vital process because it allows us to be able to gather information and deep understanding about our past experiences and our present experiences that all go towards the cultivation of discernment. So increasing our level of awareness is absolutely vital to cultivating discernment. After that, we have retrospection, because it's only...
So basically, what I'm getting to is, you know how experience is the best teacher as far as embodying whatever knowledge or knowing you're getting. It's the same. It almost is. Discernment is wisdom. Discernment, again, she said discernment is basically discernment, you knowing the consequence to whatever action that you take. So let's say, for example, let's say that I eat really bad, right? And I'm overweight. And I'm overweight because I eat really bad. my discernment would come in and tell me, hey, if we eat this donut, this will lead to us gaining more weight. Versus if we don't eat this donut, but if we eat something healthy, it will make us lose more weight. Now, you can't gain this discernment if you've never been through the situation of gaining weight because of food. If you've never gained weight because of food, how would you know that you gain weight because of food? You see what I'm saying? Or if you've seen it happen to somebody else, how would you know that it happened if you haven't seen it happen to somebody else or happen to yourself? So the discernment comes from you end up seeing this consequence happen to somebody else or it happening to you, and you're able to now reflect and analyze. You've reflected and analyzed the situation enough to where if it happens again, you can see it in the future. You can see the consequence or this situation happen again in the future. So now there's no complications. Now there's no, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're learning a lesson. So once you've gone through whatever or you've seen it happen already, you can look at the lesson, and your discernment is what's saying, hey, I've learned this lesson. Your discernment is the learning of the lesson and you actually applying it. So it's all wisdom, basically. It's when you've gained wisdom, you've gained discernment.
By reflecting upon our past experiences, can we learn from them and then apply that to the future? And then third, what we have is balancing our intellect with our intuition.
Yeah.
Because the intellect and the intuition fully merged and fused is what discernment truly is. So it's able
That's
to
what
use
I said. The intuition and the rational mind, the intuition and the logical thinking, intuitively thinking and logical thinking come together, and that's what wisdom is, basically.
both faculties, both our intellectual
I wouldn't say
ability
wisdom, but
to
discernment.
use logic, to be able to be practical and assess something, to see if it all adds up, and then also be brave enough to see if there's any plot holes, rather than fill them in ourselves with our own cognitive dissonance or our own blind spots. Logic will also ask us to engage our higher reasoning as well. So it's a certain level of critical thinking that is required on ourselves, as well as an ability for sincerity. That combined with our intuition, our ability to know things without fully knowing why, or sense things without fully being able to explain why we sense them. When these two faculties are fused together, where neither one is overpowering one another, but yet they're working together, what's happening is we're developing a feedback loop with our higher self, since the hemispheres of our body-mind are being integrated. The fourth and the most important way to cultivate discernment is to truly understand how important nuance is to awakening. Discernment would be incomplete without the capacity for nuance. In fact, discernment is the ability to recognize and apply nuance. Sometimes we have a problem with developing discernment because we intentionally block ourselves off from crucial awareness. This is because the crucial awareness would be a threat to our worldview in some way, like when it would mean we would have to accept that evil and evil intentions exist. When this happens, we cannot fully develop discernment because we are not able to conceive of anything outside of our level of consciousness. We cannot raise our consciousness if we are blocking off the very knowledge that would raise our frequency. So it becomes a vicious cycle. And yet, once we have raised our frequency to a certain threshold, nuance enters the equation and becomes the most important factor on our journey. It's what will allow us to recognize finer and finer distortions held within our inner world and the outer world. It will allow us to perceive what's in between the polarities of falsehood and true, good and evil, beneficial and destructive. And by doing so, it will allow us to navigate from a mature perception that is flexible and multifaceted. If judgment takes from our past experiences and superimposes them onto the present moment, verbatim, mechanically, discernment learns from the past experiences. It applies those lessons to the present moment, but it also allows the present moment to be totally new and work in unknown ways. As long as we are in this reality, we will be learning discernment. No one is exempt from discernment or the journey of cultivating it. What happens is we allow the refinement process of our discernment to grow sharper and sharper to the best of our capacity and from what we have learned from our life experiences. And by doing so, we step further and further into our own spiritual sovereignty. I hope this has helped you further refine your discernment. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimension.
Nah, I think okay, not fully, but I think I'm understanding it a little bit better. Discernment really is, again, let's say the lesson is, let's say in the previous time, before the lesson is you became bigger because you ate a lot of food. That's the lesson. You don't want to be bigger, but you eat a lot of food. You like eating, right? The lesson is don't eat a lot of food, or don't eat a lot of harmful foods or fatty foods so you don't become bigger. The discernment comes in when you actually apply that knowledge, actually apply that lesson, when you actually learnt your lesson. When you've actually learnt your lesson, when the decision comes to you. So let's say I'm bigger and I realize, hey, I don't want to eat bad foods, I don't want to eat fatty foods, but a donut comes up in my vicinity, or I go shopping and I'm like, damn, I want a donut. I would have learnt my lesson and turned that knowledge into wisdom as soon as I say, no, I'm not eating a donut. Nothing about me wants that donut. I don't want to eat that donut. I'm not eating that donut. I'm going to go eat healthy. You see what I'm saying? That's where the discernment comes in. But I wouldn't say that's specifically what discernment is. I feel like it's all depending on the situational base. Because I just gave you one that's pretty easy to understand, but I'm pretty sure discernment is all situational based. And I haven't fully grasped what discernment is at its core. But to my understanding, at my level of consciousness right now, that's where I'm kind of understanding where discernment is. It's basically wisdom. It's wisdom with a little bit of with some intuition in there. You see what I'm saying? But hell yeah, man. Good video, man. Good video, for sure. Let me see. Where we at? Damn. Yeah, 2 hours. I'm gonna stop it right there. But hell yeah, y'all. I see it's a viewer in here on TikTok side. What's going on, man? Make sure you come down to the YouTube, or I post all my videos on YouTube. So tap in with the YouTube. Come subscribe to the YouTube if you want to see all the videos. I have a whole bunch of videos. Come tap into the YouTube. Come tap into the Twitch. The TikTok, for some reason, it disconnects a lot. So come tap into the Twitch. You'll probably get better. You know, everything's a little bit better on the Twitch. But YouTube side, come tap into the YouTube. That's where all the videos are. That's where all the clips are. That's where everything is. And yeah. That's it for TikTok. See y'all boys. Actually wanted to see that. Hold on. Go back. Wanted to see that one. But alright, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this stream, Twitch. You know what I'm saying? I hope this was anybody who is trying to understand discernment or trying to learn about discernment or didn't even know about discernment can get a better understanding of what discernment is and relate it back to your life. Try to apply it to your life. Even if you didn't understand it today, hopefully later down the line everything will click for you and you'll be able to better apply it going forward in the future. But you know, that was basically my understanding of intuition and discernment. And yeah, bro, I'm in the stream here, bro. Y'all be easy, y'all be smooth, stay safe, stay dangerous. I love y'all, man. Deuce.